Hey everybody, it's Charles from HumbleMechanic.com. Today I'm going to be taking your questions on air filters, filling up with fuel, selling your car, and more. This is episode 194 of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. All right, to get a question on a show like this, be sure to email me, Charles at HumbleMechanic.com. Put question for Charles in the subject. Ask your question, give me some space, then give me the details. Also, if you don't see your question on a show like this, be sure to check out the quick videos playlist on YouTube. All right, let's talk about the sponsor of the day, which is CRP Automotive. CRP deals in a ton of OE maintenance and repair parts, timing belt kits, suspension components, and even fluids. In fact, they make the factory DSG fluid for Volkswagen and Audi. So check them out at crpautomotive.com. All right, before we get into the show, if you want exclusive content, discounts you can't get anywhere else, as well as VW Audi training manuals written by me, be sure to check out the Crew Membership program. There's a link down in the description. And because so many of you have asked, I started a Patreon. You can contribute at 1, 2, 3, 4 different levels. There's also a link down in the description, and hopefully right up here on whichever side the little card pops up on. So check that out. Appreciate all the support there. All right, all that's wrapped up. Let's jump into your questions. First one comes from Michael. What's your opinion on K&N air filters? I've been thinking about putting them in my vehicles. Are they worth the extra money? Thanks, Michael. So K&N air filters. If you were to ask me this question 10 years ago, I would say, dude, run as far as you can away from a K&N air filter. It'll screw up your airflow meter and you'll be buying airflow meter after airflow meter after airflow meter. In the more recent years of my career and experience, I've actually lightened up on that quite a bit. It was pointed out that, yes, a lot of airflow meters, especially it seemed to be like 1.8 turbo and 2-liter Jettas, would get destroyed or ruined because of K&N air filters, these oil-charged air filters. It was then, like I said, pointed out that they failed a ton anyway, so it may not be directly related to the K&N air filter. Overall, I think K&N air filters are fine, right? They're lifetime filters. You can buy these really cool cleaning kits, and when they get dirty, you just clean them out and re-oil them, slide them back in your air filter housing, and then you're good to go, right? They're expensive, and air filters seem to be pretty affordable these days. Even Volkswagen air filters are somehow affordable these days. So I don't know that there's this huge lifetime cost savings of buying a K&N air filter versus buying, 2 or 3 OEM filters. If the OEM filter is $15 and the K&N is $50, $45 is 3 air filters, plus then you got to buy the cleaning kit. 3 air filters is a lot of a lifetime of our vehicle. So, you'll have to do your own cost analysis based on the vehicles, multiple vehicles that you're going to be putting this K&N air filter or air filters in. So I don't know that there's this huge advantage, huge cost savings. Yeah, you won't have to take the time to take it out and replace it, but you're still going to be taking out and cleaning it. The biggest issue that I have seen directly related to rechargeable, we'll say, maintainable air filters is that people do not maintain them right. Just like people don't replace their engine air filter correct, they don't maintain these K&N air filters right. They either never clean it, so then it's dirty and saturated and less air flows through it, or what I see even more is when they clean it, they actually end up over-oiling it. That oil gets pushed through. I've seen airflow meters just completely saturated in this cleaning oil or this protection oil from a filter like a K&N. I think that if you are going to properly maintain it and properly clean and properly oil it, it's just fine. If you're going to be looking for this grand fuel economy or horsepower increase, it's small percents, maybe at best, would be all I've seen. I've ran K&N air filters in cars. I've ran OEM filters in cars. I've ran aftermarket intake systems in cars. None of them seem to have this big drastic change in performance on their own, right? So if we want more performance, we need to up the amount of modifications, intake, exhaust. ECM tune is going to be the big one that'll give you what you're looking for. So good question. Do your own cost analysis. Compare what it costs to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 of your OEM air filters for your car, and then what it costs to buy a K&N, plus the cleaning kit, which you don't have to use, but it really does make it easier. and see which one is more affordable if you're going from a cost standpoint only. If you're looking at performance, you may see a minor increase. I don't know that it's enough, at least in my opinion, to buy these different air filters. Let me put it this way. Of the 3 cars that I have, 2 of them run OEM stock air filter, airbox systems. The GTI is gonna get something different, but that's a whole different situation, so you can't really compare apples to apples in the GTI with modifications versus, let's say, my Passat that is 100% completely stock. So great question, and I hope that helps you out a little bit. All right, next one comes from Matt. So my Mark IV Golf GTI 1.8 Turbo has a code P0601, which is a throttle valve control module memory, or a lot of times that reads as a checksum error. The TSB says there's an adaptation problem. What is the adaptation? How do I do it? I couldn't find it on all data anywhere. Thanks for your help, Matt. Matt, all right, so P0601, I'll put the description of exactly what that means right down here below. Rostec Wiki, right, so Rostec is the company that makes VAGCOM or VCDS. It's ros-tech.com. They make an incredible scan tool product for VW Audi, right? Great at a professional level, not gonna replace a factory scan tool, but fantastic. Fantastic also for a tuner level, for an enthusiast level. Once you get to like the real casual user, it's pretty expensive. It does a ton of stuff, but it's a little bit more expensive than maybe most super casual DIYers are gonna spend. And there is another solution in OBD11 that's quite a bit less expensive. Personally, between the two, my go-to is gonna be VAGCOM. And in addition to the scan tool that VAGCOM makes, their huge resource of their wiki page is also my go-to when I can't do stupid things with the factory repair manual, like figure out what a code actually means, find the parameters in which it's stored, or even simply just the verbiage or the system that it points to. My first step was always the OEM repair manual. My second step was always Rostec wiki page. I'll be sure to put a link down in the description so you can go right to their wiki page and research this code. When it comes to throttle body faults, especially on Mark IV generation cars, the throttle body failure was not like widespread common, but I have put a handful of them in. So it may be a throttle body device, right? The actual component problem. But before we just dive in and replace the throttle body, we need to get access to a scan tool that'll allow us to do the basic setting. In this case, if we had VAGCOM, we would go to basic settings, we would go to 60, and we would run the adaptation. You can try key on, engine off, slowly depressing the throttle, all the way to the floor, all the way up, all the way to the floor, all the way to the up. 4, 5, 6, 10 times and see if that will do it. That a lot of times will do it. Just make sure the car is not running, but the key is switched on. If that doesn't do it, the next thing you want to do is check your battery voltage, because I've actually seen a lot of checksum errors on components due to low battery voltage. If your charging voltage is 13 volts, that's borderline, right? Probably too low. May not have enough juice for that throttle body. You're driving a motor inside the throttle body in order to open and close it. So you need good voltage from the charging starting system, and you need good voltage at the throttle body. So you also want to check voltage at the throttle body as well. Pull the connector off. Make sure that there's no corrosion in it. Check the routing of the wires. From what I remember, the way those wires came up and into the connector, it was a pretty sharp bend. So you may have a wire that's starting to chafe or actually start to pulling out of the connector housing. I've seen something as simple as loose battery terminals cause this kind of problem. So do all those checks, check your voltage, check your wiring, try and adapt it. If that doesn't get you anywhere, man, odds are, you might need a new throttle body. You can also try and clean it, take it off and actually clean it by hand. Don't just spray stuff with the throttle boot off. Take it off. It's 4 bolts. It's not hard. Remove it and clean it properly, and then readapt it and try that again. That may wipe out that checksum error and get your throttle body happy again. But on the other side of that, don't be surprised if the component, the throttle body component, is the failure that you're experiencing. So I hope that helps. If anybody else has any other advice, of course, as always, your comments are always welcome. throw them down in the comment section and let's try and help them out. All right, next up is about a 2004 Mazda 3 hatchback with 200K. The problem is when I go to fill it up with gas, I have to keep clicking the pump. It happens at every station, every pump, no matter what. It's really annoying and causes it to take 5 to 20 minutes, wow, to fill up fuel. I think the charcoal canister or vent tube is a problem, but I wanted to see what your thoughts are. Here's a link to the video, so I'll link up that video as well if you guys want to see what's happening. Basically what's happening, putting the nozzle in, pulling it, it's going for a second, and then cutting off. So I just answered a similar question about this on a Dodge, where I go into considerably more detail about some of the things that could be happening. I think you're dead right. I think you have a clogged vent tube or a valve that's stuck or sticking. Depending on how the evap system is on this vehicle, you can try to disconnect a couple of the vent hoses and go and fill it and see if disconnecting one of those solves the problem. At the dealership, what I would do is I would take the fender liner out, I would get access to everything that I could, put the wheel back on and drive it down to the fuel station. In a case like yours, it's really great because it does it every single time. On the case other cars, it wouldn't actually accept a full tank of fuel. So you'd have to disconnect something, go down, try and fill it, hope that it didn't work, but of course it always worked. It usually took 5, 6, 7 tries before you got the right thing because you want to isolate the one component, not the entire system necessarily. You can pull the line off the charcoal canister and see how much it smells like gas. If it really smells like gas, it may be just completely saturated in fuel and time to be replaced. That's another really common thing, but this could go any which way. It could go to a pinched or a clogged line. Very simple sometimes, very easy to fix and very easy to diagnose. It could be a valve that's stuck that may be serviceable separate. Unfortunately, a lot of these valves are molded into the fuel tank. If it's molded into the fuel tank, usually it's not serviceable. That means you get to buy that valve and you get a free gas tank with it. So keep that in mind when you're diagnosing it. This happens on my Passat every once in a while, depending on the station. What I'll do is I'll just back the nozzle out a little bit. So if this is all the way in, back it out an inch maybe to where there's no chance of fuel going everywhere. It just vents it a little bit easier. That may help as well. So hopefully that helps, man. This is going to be a trial and error of disconnecting lines one at a time. Again, I went way deeper into it on that other video that I did. It's from a Survival Podcast Expert Council excerpt question. So you can check that out. Again, I'll be sure to link it up. And hopefully, you don't have to buy a gas tank or a charcoal canister. It's simply just a pinched or crimped line. All right, last one of the day comes from Jason. I have an 01 GTI 1.8 Turbo and an 06 GTI FSI. Which car should I sell? Details: both cars have approximately 130K on it, have been well maintained and are bone stock. The 06 is certainly faster and has more modern amenities, but the DSG is annoying and the ride is harsh. The 01 is the car I prefer, but the interior could use some refresh. These cars are starting to feel vintage. Boy, are you not kidding about that. Is it foolish to sell a newer car and keep the older one? Is it a false economy to invest improvements in a Mark IV? Or do you see the value of these eventually rising? Any thoughts appreciated? Jason. So, Jason, I don't really see the value of these rising in any kind of significant way. So I'll say that and we'll put that to bed. As far as which one you should sell, I think you answered your question in your question. You like the 1.8 Turbo better, you like the Mark IV better, keep that one. Some things I would consider is, where do these cars exist in the world of maintenance and reliability? Has the 2-liter had its compressor replaced multiple times? Has it had its camshaft? Has it had a mech unit? Has it had a clutch pack? Has the dual mass flywheel failed yet? And on and on and on. Door latches, right? Door latches are common on both those generations. So has it had all those big expensive repairs? If it has, maybe it's worth keeping. Just like that on the 1.8 Turbo. Has it had a timing belt? Has it had the whole suspension replaced? As far as bushings and the shocks and struts are probably toast by now. The car's 16 years old. Door latches, again, valve cover, cam adjuster gaskets. A lot of the issues with the Mark IV were not quite as major and catastrophic, especially on a well-maintained Mark IV, but there was more of them. On the newer gen car, the 06, less overall like global problems with the car, but the problems were considerably more expensive. Here's what I would do. it sounds like you want the Mark IV. It sounds like, you know, you don't like the DSG. It sounds like you feel more at home in the Mark IV, and I get it. I totally get it. That's how I feel about my Passat. That's why I haven't replaced it yet. Is it foolish though to put, we'll call it $2,000 into like having the seats redone, replacing some of the soft touch components, probably having the headliner replaced, the steering wheel's probably all the leather and crap, or if it had just that foamy steering wheel is all weird and worn out. I don't think it's a complete waste. I would be very selective on what I did though. You know, if I were looking for rehabbing the interior, say, I might do the driver and passenger seat, but I wouldn't do the back seats. They're not nearly as critical. I might do the door cards and glue those back on, but I might do that myself instead of paying a bunch of money to replace it or buy another one. Most of those soft touch pieces are not that expensive, but there's other options to just replacing them. Companies like ECS sell that vinyl. You can probably get it on Amazon too, where you can do, you know, a brushed aluminum looking vinyl over some of those soft touch pieces once you get all the rest of that soft touch crap off. That may help. Putting a new radio in it with Bluetooth might help. Getting the suspension rehab will definitely help you fall back in love with that car and the way it drives. So I don't think it's stupid to invest that money. Could you replace that car in that condition for the money that you're going to spend to do it is the big question you want to ask. If you spend $2,000 on it and get it in really nice condition, would you be able to find a Mark IV for $4,000 in that condition? And odds are probably not. And dude, when it comes down to it, if you're not trying to sell this car in the next year, who cares? If you spend a lot of time in your car, it's just like buying a good mattress, right? To me, it seems like such a waste of money to buy a good mattress and spend the stupid amount of money that they cost, yet we spend, you know, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours. I don't know who sleeps 10 hours in their bed, but if you can sleep 10 hours, awesome. We spend so much time in our bed that getting a good mattress is a good investment. Just like in our car, it's a good investment to make sure we're comfortable in the seat. It has support. The lumbar works. All those things. If you have a 40-minute drive to work, you're, you know, 80 minutes of time in your car every single day, Monday through Friday. That's a lot of time behind the wheel. And, you know, a lot of people spend way more than that in their cars. I feel like it is usually worth those investments in comfort as long as your car is well maintained. The maintenance of the car is gonna come first because a slightly uncomfortable seat will not leave you stranded on the side of the road. You may just have to have an extra beer when you get to your final destination. So, Jason, I hope that helps. Again, I think you answered your question in your question. I like the Mark IV personally better than the Mark V. That's my feeling towards it. Of course, a manual transmission, super attractive. The 06 GTI did have its fair share of problems, but so did the Mark IV. So this is your call, dude. You'll probably get more money for the Mark V anyway. Not much. The values are going to be about the same, but sell the Mark V, put a little bit of cash in your pocket, and spend some money and give some love back to the Mark IV. At least that's what I would do anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Questions, comments, you know what to do. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Always appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube and ding, ding, ding that notification bell. If you want exclusive content you can get nowhere else, discounts that are exclusive to members only, as well as VW Audi training manuals, hit the link and check out the Crew membership program. I did start a Patreon thanks to a lot of recommendations by you guys saying you wanted to support me there. Hit that Patreon link and support me there like you asked me to do for you. That'd be really awesome. I always appreciate that. Of course, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, Snapchat. All right, guys, hey, thank you so much for the questions. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.